Good afternoon, folkers. Good evening, wherever you're at in the world. Snapzilla Gorillas, July 17, 2020. Welcome to the Definition of Anarchy. Today, what I want to talk about is the confusion, okay, regarding the two videos before the last one, all right, regarding Heavy Duty Country, okay, and my take on his response to the NFAC, and then later on his lack of critique of the St. Louis couple. Now, I've had a lot of Heavy Duty Country fanatics come into my comment section making all kinds of excuses for the couple, okay? Making excuses, shitting on the NFAC for whatever reason. And what I wanted to do is I want to give some clarification to those of you who lack in comprehension skills, okay? Those of you Heavy Duty Country fans, aka fanatics, that lack comprehension skills, all right? Number one, I never said that St. Louis couple did not have the right to defend their home and defend their property. I never said that. As a matter of fact, I said I support people's Second Amendment rights to defend, keep and bear arms to defend what's theirs, right? Their person's papers and effects and their property. I said that. I said I'm all for that. I'm all for exercising your rights to keep and bear arms, exercising your rights to self-defense. Okay? But I also support the right to assemble. I support the right to assemble and free speech. And that's what the NFAC had going on. So I'm for all rights. I'm for the exercising of every single right, whether it be by a white person, by a black group, whatever. I don't pick and choose when I want to be for someone's rights just because I don't like what the hell they have to say. All right. Unlike some of you hypocrites that are big country fans, whatever, Heavy Duty Country, big country, country, all country lives matter, whatever. That's how y'all think. That's how y'all operate. That's how big country operates. Okay. That's clear to see. What I had an issue with the St. Louis couple is the fact that they were pointing their weapons at each other with their fingers on the trigger. That they were pointing their weapons, their muzzles downrange at human beings who were on the cusp of stepping foot on their property, but not really stepping foot on their property. Yes, that's their private. It's a private area, right? It's a private neighborhood. It's a gated community. Boom, I understand that. They violated. Yeah, indeed. They violated when they busted down that gate and stepped up in there on private property. They violated that private property. Okay? But this is one thing that you have to understand. If you go to a firearms instructor to actually learn how to use the weapon that you purchased, like the St. Louis couple who did, they purchased those firearms, but obviously did not go through any type of training for safety or for the safe use of those firearms. I'd be surprised if they put any rounds downrange. Okay? But peep this. What would a firearm instructor tell you about putting your finger on the trigger and pointing the muzzle at a human being? Don't do that unless you're going to shoot. And, if you're going to point your weapon at somebody to deter an attack, you keep your finger off the trigger until you know, or until you can assess that they're an immediate threat and that they will attack you. Then you move your finger to the trigger. That's Firearm Safety 101. Firearm Safety 101. So let's put that aside. Let's put that aside, right? Let's say they had a right to point their weapons at people who were coming onto their property or threatening to come onto their property. Okay. Let's put the finger on the trigger aside. What about when your wife is pointing the weapon at your head? What about when your wife is pointing the muzzle at your head with her finger on the trigger because she has no muzzle or trigger discipline, because she picked up a weapon she did not know how to use or did not know the safe use of? Y'all don't got a problem with that? Y'all don't got a problem with that. Why? Oh, because they're lawyers. Oh, they're lawyers and not military people. Got it. They're not military. They're not cops. They're not federal agents. So therefore, they don't have to practice the safe use of firearms. They can do whatever they want with a firearm. Hell, why not blow somebody's head off an accident and get away with it? Because you're a lawyer. So is that what I'm hearing? They get off. They get a pass because they're lawyers. They get a pass because they're lawyers. NFAC doesn't get a pass because Grandmaster Jay hyperbolized and said that everybody in that formation was ex-military. Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all something about let me break it down for you. When I was in the military, okay, when I was a regular ass infantry soldier, okay? I wasn't Special Forces, I wasn't Ranger, I wasn't Delta, right? When I had a rifle, it was, at first when I got in, they were just then transitioning from an M16A2 or an M16A2 to an M4 carbine. Okay, the M4 carbine is the more compact version of the M16. It's an M4 carbine. We had iron sights. You understand? We had iron sights on that bitch. We did not have specialized scopes. We didn't have that. We didn't have a quick. We didn't have a red dot sight scope on the side in a regular ass scope, a 2x or 4x scope on the top. Oh, so that when we're in close quarters, we can slant our weapon so that we have the red dot reflective sight on there. No, we didn't have reflective sights. We didn't have regular ass scopes. We had iron sights. So guess what? I was no sniper. Okay. I was a saw gunner. Okay. A saw is a squad automatic weapon. It's an M249 Bravo. It's an M249. The M249 fired 5.56. Okay. Even that was iron sights. It's a machine gun essentially that fires the same round that the M4 and the M16 fired. I was also a 240 Bravo gunner for a short period. No scope. You know who got the scopes? Sorry. The snipers. That's when you got the specialized scopes that had all this zoom on it, right? No, we had to use our iron sights to shoot up to 300 ranges, to 300 yards accurately. Iron sights. So guess what? When I got out, I mean, when I was in, I was not, I loved rifles and I loved guns, but I did not own my own shit until I got out. I didn't use my first scope until I got out, right? Then when I got my AR, I put a scope on that bitch. I learned how to use it. I zeroed it and all that other shit. So just because someone's ex-military doesn't mean that they're it's not like the fucking Matrix, okay? We're not Neo, okay? When you get in the army, they don't strap you to a chair, put a probe in the back of your brain, and download knowledge into your fucking brain, okay? We didn't learn Kung Fu in 2 seconds. We didn't learn about scopes in 2 seconds. Just because you're ex-military don't mean that you know how a scope works. A scope that you would put on an AR. If you just so happen, if you went to sniper school, you learned how to use scope in sniper school. If you went to ranger school, you became a ranger, became special forces, became this, that, and the third, yes, you would be using that type of equipment. But they don't have regular ass 11 Bravo, 11 X-ray. We did not use scopes like that. Anybody tell you different is a fucking lie. So just because somebody's ex-military don't mean that they automatically know everything about every weapon, everything about every piece of equipment that ever came out. No, it doesn't work like that. So therefore, they could be ex-military but not know how to use a fucking scope, because guess what? They didn't learn how to use a scope in the military. That may very well be. They may have been a Pogue. All right? You know what a Pogue is? Personnel other than a grunt. I was a grunt. Okay? Pogues are personnel other than grunts whose MOS may have been clerical, truck driver, chef. They had to learn how to use a rifle. Yeah, sure. They had to learn how to use a rifle, but they're not at the range as much as we were. They weren't in field training exercises as much as we were. They weren't doing parade marches and field marches and all that as much as we infantrymen were, because as an infantry person, infantryman, that's what our job was. Our job was to shoot at shit, march down some shit, advance on an enemy, perform fire drills, all this other shit. That was our job as an infantryman. Everybody in the Army, everybody in the Navy, all this other shit, Air Force, Marines, if you're not an infantry person, if you're not in combat arms, you're not necessarily out there doing that all day. No, you have supporting roles. You might have been a support military personnel. You're working literally 9 to 5 at support, doing certain shit, making sure shit runs smoothly so that us grunts can go out and kill people at the whim of the military industrial complex without any hitches. That's a full-time job for these cats. So they didn't necessarily learn how to kill, how to march, this, that, and the third. They learned how to march in basic training. You go through the shit in basic training. You might do it in PT. Okay? In the morning, you get up at 5:30. Boom, you do PT from 6 to 7. Boom. And you're doing PT. You're not doing parade marches. You're not going on field training exercises. Right? When I went on field training exercises, as infantry people, we were the ones rucking miles and miles and miles to get to the location, while everybody else was in armored personnel vehicles or deuce and a halves or Hemmets or whatever they used to get out. The 88 Mikes had their own fucking tanks. 88 Mike's a mechanic. The medics had their own tanks. They were rolling. They weren't marching. So you don't know what type of military personnel these people are. If you are from a military, you don't understand that. I don't know what the hell you was doing while you were serving. Anyway, beyond that, just because they're lawyers doesn't mean that when they pick up a fucking weapon or they purchase a firearm, it doesn't mean that they don't have the responsibility to practice the safe use of that firearm. Practice the safe use. Learn how to use your weapon. If you're going to buy it, go to the range. Hire a fucking firearms instructor. Right? Go to a firearms instruction class. You bought it for what? No, we're not giving these people a pass because they're lawyers and people were, just because. Don't pick up the weapon. Stay your ass in the house. If you don't know how to use that firearm, stay your ass in the house and call the popo. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, what you got it for? And then I heard that the chick didn't, like, it wasn't loaded. Like, come on, man. It doesn't matter if it's loaded or not. What is another rule of firearm safety? Always treat that weapon as if it's loaded. Locked and loaded. Always treat it as if it's loaded. If she had been trained, she would know that. So that's what my gripe was. That he's big country, big heavy duty country, lives matter, was bitching about NFAC having a backward scope on and not marching the way he would want them to march. Talking about their scopes, talking about a 22 trying to make it look like an AR, like all that bullshit that he's talking that had nothing to do with safety. But you can't talk, you can't critique this couple for damn near killing themselves and killing the people in the crowd. That's the point. I don't care about the cause. I wasn't griping about their causes, right? I agreed that the couple had a right to keep and bear arms and to defend their home. Right? These people ran up onto a private property, busted down gates. They violated. They committed a crime against another human being. Okay? They felt threatened, so they pulled out the hammer. They pulled out the heat. But they shouldn't have if they didn't know how to use it. If they didn't know how to use it safely. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. The NFAC, same thing. They had every right to march on that mountain, march to that march through Stone Mountain to that monument to protest the existence of that monument. They didn't commit a crime. They weren't violent. They didn't call for violence. Excuse me. According to Grandmaster Jay and somebody that's with NFAC that told me that he was getting threats from the KKK. Don't sit up here and act like the KKK don't exist. It does. It still exists. There's still chapters. Okay? Don't get it twisted. We ain't gonna sit up here and act like, oh, the KKK. No. Miss me with that bullshit. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, we're not going to give people a pass because they're not fucking military or cops and they decide to pick up a firearm. If you're going to purchase a firearm and you want to use it, learn how to. Learn how. First thing, learn the safety, right? How to use it safely, how to safely store it, what to do and what not to do. Learn about trigger discipline, learn about muzzle discipline. Shoot it down range. Practice keeping the muzzle pointed down range when you're at the range to keep everyone around you safe. Learn how to use that bitch. If you want to buy one, learn how to use it. Simple as that. I was merely pointing out the fact that he refused to criticize them, and he's criticizing NFAC for obvious reasons to me. Obvious to me. Obvious. I'm not going to get into that. It's just something that I feel. I know he's biased. It's simple, plain and simple bias. And he has every right to have that bias. And he has every right to free speech. He has every right to say what he wants about the NFAC. But remember, in saying whatever you want to say, there are consequences to the shit you got to say. If you say something, your free speech is free. It's free speech, yes. But that doesn't mean free from consequences. That doesn't mean free from whiplash, or whatever you want to call it, right? Backlash. Freedom, that doesn't mean freedom from criticism. It means free speech. That means you have every right to call somebody the N-word, right? You have every right to call somebody the N-word. You have every right to call somebody a honky or a cracker, right? But if you say that to the wrong person and they steal on you, that's a consequence of speaking freely. That's just, some people are going to go upside your head. Some people are going to cuss you out. Some people are going to call you names. Be prepared. You know, y'all, you conservatives, right? You so-called conservatives calling other people snowflakes and being sensitive and all this other shit and being emotional. But look at the shit y'all get emotional about. Another anthem. An anthem that was written for a white man named Abraham Lincoln. A black person wrote it, and a lot of black people sing it, so therefore it's a black anthem, right? No, it's the Abraham Lincoln anthem. And they want to add it to the NFL. They want to add it to the beginning of the games along with the regular national anthem. So what? That's their right. They have a right to do that. They're not a government agency. They don't even have to play the fucking regular national anthem if they don't want to. But that's what they choose to do. That's what they put it in there. Nigga, listen. They can play Thank God I'm a Country Boy. They can play Hoop There It Is before every game. It's their choice. What's up with y'all, man? This is the type of shit y'all decide to spend your energy on. Anyway, I just wasted 21 minutes of my energy explaining this shit. So, listen. For future reference, Big Country fans, Big Country Fanatics, Heavy Duty Country Fanatics, whatever. Save your energy. I'm not going to bend or fold to you. Okay? I don't pander. I don't care what y'all got to say. Write whatever you want in the comment section. I'm going to snap back at you because that's what I do. I don't hold my tongue. I speak my mind. It is what it is. Take it or leave it. Makes me know never mind. Anyway, stop being hypocrites. Much love to y'all. Peace out. Like, share, subscribe. And be safe out there with the Rona.